A king said the people were talking about him, and he wanted to shut their mouths. A minister knelt and said, "Shutting mouths is more dangerous than damming a river. Block a river and it bursts, more people hurt. Block the people's talk and it will burst too, and what breaks is your realm." The king would not listen. Years later the people rose, the king fled, and died in exile. 2,000 years later people still recite, "To stop the people's mouths is worse than stopping a river." That line is not in a war manual or a poem. It lives in an ancient book called the Discourses of the States. In the Zhou section, Duke Zhou admonishing King Li against silencing criticism. Good evening, this is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we read the Discourses of the States. If you are already lying down, dim the lamp a little. Put the phone farther away. Pull the blanket up. This book is not the one with the most stories, it is the one that remembers speech most fiercely, who advised whom, who cursed whom, who spent a last sentence before kneeling. Our reading list calls it recording history through words, hearing how lords and ministers of 8 states spoke. We follow that. You need not memorize 8 chapters or finish the whole book tonight. Just follow the voice, hear a few speeches, and watch how history flows from human mouths. Fall asleep halfway? Duke Zhou, Zikan, and Guanzhong will not mind. Neither will I. Quick rules first, nothing to memorize, nothing you must fully grasp, no notes. What you take away are a few lines that stick. Stopping the people's mouths is worse than stopping a river. Xu Xiang congratulating poverty, Guanzhong on the 4 classes, the debate before Zikan cast the penal cauldron. Wu Ju admonishing King Zhuang of Chu that the terrace is beautiful but the people are exhausted. Hu Jin spoke before King Fuchai of Wu. Together they say, reading this book is not only who won, but how words were spoken, how deeds were done, how trouble came. Remember even one line and tonight was not wasted. As for how the mouth-shutting king ended, that stays beside your pillow until halfway through tonight, when we return to it. First, meet the book. Tradition names the author Zuo Qiuming, the same name attached to the Zuo tradition, said to be Confucius's contemporary or perhaps a historian in his circle. Scholars still dispute his life, we need not judge tonight. What we can say, the discourses in the Zuo tradition are 2 ways of writing one era. The Zuo tradition follows the Spring and Autumn Annals year by year, battles, alliances, exile, scene by scene. The discourses are arranged by state, Zhou, Lu, Qi, Jin, Zheng, Shu, Wu, Yu 8 states, 21 chapters, nearly 80,000 characters. It loves to record speeches, counsel, remonstrance, oaths. Reading it, the camera often stops not with armies but at banquets, courts, and under carriage canopies, someone standing, finishing the argument. In the records of the grand historian, Sima Qian's letter to Runan mentions Zuo Qiuming blinded, yet the Discourses of the States came from him. Legend, perhaps, but it points to something real. Ancient historians believed they must record not only what happened but what was said at the time. In Chinese historiography, this book is often called a root of the Yu style and of state-by-state history. Later, the stratagems of the warring states made speech even flashier. Part of that root is here. Someone first took words seriously enough to write them down, and later writers dared turn speech into drama. Some compare the discourses to a spring and autumn voice recorder, not quite right, but the direction is sound. It does not pick every day, it picks moments judged too heavy to lose. Open the original and many chapters begin with "so and so said," as if a microphone were handed to the ancients. Tonight we listen to a few of those moments. The book took shape around the early warring states period. The language is already mature. It overlaps the Zuo tradition. For one event the Zuo gives the scene, the discourses give the lines. Prince Chong'er's exile appears in both. In the Zuo you watch him pass through Chao and Chu in the Battle of Qingpu. In the Jin section of the discourses you hear his dialogues with the lords of Qi, Xin, and Chu, who chimed in, who poured cold water. Not right versus wrong, 2 ways of reading, one like a documentary, one like an interview. Listening at night, sit outside the curtain and hear sentence follow sentence, whose words moved the board, whose words blocked the road. In Chong'er's exile, one exchange is often quoted alone. Duke Mu of Qin asked, "Jin is in chaos, what will you do?" Chong'er answered, "A man in exile has no state. If I may return through your grace, I dare harbor no other aim. Humble on the surface, calculation underneath, I am outside while chaos is inside, that is my opening." In such dialogue, exile in the discourses is not only suffering but the cool patience of waiting for a crack. The humbler the words, sometimes the harder the edge, lower the expectation, more room remains. The Zuo tradition tells of him eating meat from a Chao commoner. The discourses tell how he spoke to great powers. Read both and the man stands in three dimensions. Duke Hui of Jin Yi, Chong'er's younger brother, returned home first. The Jin section records his promise to cede land to Qin, then his betrayal after taking the throne. Duke Mu grew angry, attacked Jin, and captured him. Before release we said to Mu, "Without Jin as your ally, what blessing do you gain?" There is pleading in it, and gambling. Do not only call him faithless, hear this, once words can be spoken lightly, credit breaks, after credit breaks, only words remain to wager life on. The discourses record such passages where speech stakes life, read at night they settle heavy in the chest. Next is something many spring and autumn listeners meet, after Li Ke killed Prince Shiqi and Prince Daozi in the Li Ji turmoil, how to explain it to the people. The discourses say Li Ke sent someone to ask the diviner Bu Yan, who answered with hexagrams Zhong Fu and Gui Mei. Mystifying, but underneath, after killing a ruler, how do you find a legitimizing story? You need not understand the hexagrams, just feel that after great blood, words must patch legitimacy. The book does not dodge blood or the question that follows. After blood, the mouth cannot stop. In his later years, Duke Huan of Qi heard Guan Zhong on his sickbed, keep away Iya, Shu Diao, and Kai Feng. Huan would not listen. After Guan Zhong died, the three threw the state into chaos. Huan starved in the palace, and worms crawled from the corpse. The Zuo tradition tells this too. The discourses love Guan Zhong's last lines. Words can raise hegemony and still fail to save a dim old age. Huan listened to Guan Zhong in the first half of life and to flatterers in the second. Ears changed, and the weight of words changed. Listening before sleep, do not treat it as horror alone, ask whose words you are willing to hear at the end. In Qi, besides yin-ing on ritual, there is the threat of two peaches killing three warriors. Later fiction may embellish, and the Qi section may not match word for word, but speech that removes courage by scheme is not strange in these chapters. Read yin-ing with Wu Ju and Zheng and you feel remonstrance has hard, soft, and unspoken forms, walk you to the edge of a conclusion, then step back. The discourses hide this art, do not learn it to manipulate, just see how ancients rounded hard things to say. Besides Wu Ju and Shu there is Zinang, who on his deathbed asked that the Zhanghua terrace be lowered. The book does not write a moral saint, it writes someone who dared use words after death to change one thing. Southern speech often carries I dare remonstrate from the corpse, dare and a last wish to reduce a terrace's height. That daring differs from Jin, where speech calculates more. In the Wu section, besides Wu Zishu, are the succession counsels of Zhu Fan and Helu. Wu and Yu speeches often carry blood oaths. Read Wu then Yu, late era Yu is shorter and harder, time runs out, sentences must nail the ear. Fuchai would not listen, Gojin could hear. The gap is not rhetoric class but whether you treat words as early warning. If this is your first meeting with the book, start from one sentence, not 8 states. Pick Duke Xiao's river line, Chong'er's retreat 3 marches, or Zichen's line I mean to save the age, let one sentence stand on your pillow, then find its state and its situation. You know, you will not be crushed by the table of contents or feel the classic is a wall. King Li of Zhou named who loved praise and hated criticism. Duke Xiao admonished him, the people must speak as rivers must flow. Li would not listen. He used guards to spy, those who murmured were killed. Duke Xiao said, You can stop the mouth before you, not the talk behind you, like damming only the surface. The people finally rose. Li fled to Ji and died there. Listen with eyes closed. Remember one thing: words are not decoration, they are a pressure gauge. Smash the gauge and what explodes is not the gauge but the pot. Another Zhou chapter suits bedtime. Rui Liangfu admonishing King Li favored Rongigong and wanted to monopolize mountains and rivers, putting forests and marshes under the royal house. Rui said, "A king who loves profit will find it hard to remain king." The discourses write not only grand doctrine but concrete interest. Who touches public resources touches hearts. If Li had listened more in life, perhaps exile could have been avoided. The historians do not curse for you, they lay out the speeches and let you weigh which line a leader refused to hear, and how the price often comes years later. Lu has few chapters, yet Lu Yu often wins around ritual. Mu Zhongshu admonished Duke Shuang of Lu, the Son of Heaven is parent to the people, giving them wealth, song, and dance to nourish heaven's virtue. Lu in the discourses still wants to be the model student of Zhou ritual. Speech lifts heaven, virtue, and people. Yet Spring and Autumn Lu was not peaceful at home. The three Huan families held power, the ducal house faded. The Zuo Tradition writes more. The discourses pick a few speeches reminding you that Lu people did not only preach ritual, they used ritual to advise, block, and fight. You need not master the Ji-Sun genealogy tonight, just feel how small states speak with an I am orthodox tone, and how that tone can be costly. In Qi, Guanzhong is a leading voice. Serving Duke Huan, he did not only govern, he defined people. He said, scholar, farmer, artisan, merchant, 4 classes in their places, each secure in occupation, then the people do not rebel. Later readers praise order or criticize cages. Do not rush to choose sides. Hear how he turned division of labor into stability. Merchants move goods, artisans make tools, farmers till, scholars plan. 9 alliances and hegemony rested not only on blades but on a story that let each class feel it had a slot. At night you may ask, does division steady people or narrow them? The book does not answer, it leaves Guanzhong's words with you. Another Qi chapter, Yanning serving Duke Zheng. Zheng asked, where does governing start? Yan said, with ritual. Can ritual make you poor? Yan said, ritual is the court lord and minister, father and son, high and low each in place. If the people do not rebel, you are not poor. Yanning differs from Guanzhong, utility and order versus ritual in chords. Both speak for Qi in different voices. The book's gift is preserving same era, different tones. You need not crown a winner. Feel how a hegemon speaks in many registers depending on audience and board. Jin weighs heaviest. Jin Yu is a thick archive. Li Ji turmoil, Chong'er's exile, Hui's return, Wen's founding, before and after Qingpu, Zhou Dun's remonstrance, Fan Xuanzi, Jibo, the roots of the 3 families dividing Jin. You keep meeting who should be enthroned, who killed, who yielded. Great deeds end with blades, but before blades fall, mouths often decide. The discourses record Jin as they record these mouths. The Li Ji turmoil fills the Jin section with dialogue. Duke Xian favored Li Ji and wanted to displace Shen Sheng for Prince Shiqi. Li Ji did not speak plainly. She sent Shen Sheng to sacrifice, offered the meat, then accused him of poison. Shen Sheng did not defend himself and died. Chong'er and Yi fled. Words can kill without a blade. Posterity pities Shen Sheng's filial death, yet the book also records how Xian, Li Ji, and Li could tighten the net sentence by sentence. Think of favoritism in a family. This page lasts. The book chooses no side, it lays out each voice so you hear tragedy not as sudden explosion but sentence pushing sentence. Chong'er's exile brims with dialogue. Duke Huan of Qi married him to a clan daughter and wanted to keep him. He said, I am in exile, not greedy, only waiting for the hour. King Cheng of Chu treated him well and asked, if you gain Jin, how will you repay? Chong'er said, retreat 3 marches, if I cannot hold that line, I will submit. At Qingpu he kept the promise. The Zuo tradition gives the battle, the discourses give how the promise left his mouth. Exile trains how to speak, not cringing before the strong, not flinching at a test, staking the future on a line that can be checked. Words as shield and contract. Du Kui of Jin Yi, Chong'er's younger brother, took the throne first, betrayed Qin, lost virtue, and was captured. The discourses record his words to Duke Mu before return and his broken faith after. Read Hui beside one, two princes, one treated words as play, one as debt. Debts can be paid, plays cannot, what remains unpaid is the fate of a state. The historians do not soften Hui into a cartoon villain, they record how he shortened, shifted, and emptied his words again and again. After Duke Wen, the Jin section records Zhao Dun, Zhao Chuan, and Dong Hu. Duke Ling was vicious, Zhao Dun remonstrated again and again. The discourses in Zuo Tradition echo, Dong Hu wrote Zhao Dun assassinated his lord, Zhao said, I did not cross the border, yet returning I did not punish the traitor, if not me, who? Words written in history are harder to dodge than blades. Whether Zhao Dun was guilty ages dispute. What the book keeps is how the historian spoke and how the minister answered. You need not judge tonight, feel that history is decided not only on battlefields but on bamboo strips that ask responsibility. Further in Jin, many listeners tighten at night, the Luan clan turmoil. Duke Li tried to remove Luan Shu and was killed by him, Duke Dao rose, Luan Shu died, Luaning fled to Qi. Later Ing slipped back, leaned on the Wei clan, nearly succeeded, and was defeated. The thread is often who spoke the break first, who lied first. Trust among great clans is thin paper, one wrong sentence pierces it. The later Jin chapters feel like blades in speech, not battlefield shouts but banquet probes and hooks hidden in oaths. Shibo Xiao was a late spring and autumn power in Jin, arrogant, demanding land from Han, Wei, and Zhao. His minister Zhiguo warned, if people do not love you, how can you rival Qi and Zhao? Jibo would not listen. Zhao Shangzi with Han and Wei turned the water against him, the Ji clan was destroyed, the three families divided Jin, the warring states prologue. Read this beside Xu Xiang congratulating poverty. Jin's speech in the first half is how to advise, in the second half how to perish, advice ignored, words become blades, after blades fall, words return in history asking whether you would have said the same. Zhao Jianzi and his son Zhao Xiangzi also speak often in Jin. Jianzi asked his attendants at meal who was most worthy, all praised others, only the boy Yutong said the master knows himself, Jianzi called him worthy. Small story, typical pattern, the Lord asks, many miss the point, one says you already know testing whether you hear the air in the room. The discourses love such small dialogues because great rules hide inside them. Xu Xiang congratulating poverty is famously counterintuitive. Xu Xiang congratulated his brother Xu Yu on being poor. Poverty frees you from begging favors, wealth may invite disaster. At first you blink, congratulate poverty? Then you hear he congratulates fewer entanglements. In Jin's great clans, wealth breeds resentment, poverty may protect. The tone is Jin, calculation and exit routes in speech. Do not turn it into success gospel, remember a cold ancient judgment on wealth and trouble. In Zheng, Zikin is the highlight. As minister he cast the penal cauldron and inscribed the laws, people crowded to read. Xu Xiang wrote against it, ancient kings judged cases without publishing penalties lest the people learn only to evade. Zikin replied, I mean to save the age, not seek fame. 2 letters, a crucial page in Spring and Autumn thought, should written law be public, how do ritual and punishment stand? The discourses love letters and debate preserved whole. Zikin did not toss one line, he corresponded, Xu Xiang did not only scold, he argued. At night, if you wonder whether rules can be seen, you are on this page. Another Zheng chapter, Sherbo on rise and fall, on King Yu of Zhou displacing Shinfaragio, harmony creates things, sameness cannot last. Harmonizing different things is he, stuffing same with same ends in exhaustion. Remember he versus tone, harmony tunes differences, sameness presses until it snaps, later quoted in politics and daily life. Small Zheng speaks philosophically because living in a crack forces deeper thought to survive. In Chu, Wu Ju admonishing King Zhuang his strong image. Zhuang built the Zhenghua terrace, magnificent. Wu Ju said, I wish I had eyes that could not see. Why? Earlier kings built modest terraces without troubling the people. Now the terrace is beautiful but the people are exhausted and the state poor. I fear later ages will say the king built terraces and the people rebelled. Zhuang lowered the terrace. Remonstrance need not always thunder, sometimes a soft nail like I wish I could not see pulls a king from pride. Chu loves the contrast of beauty and labor. Terraces may be beautiful, people must not break. Chu also records Zinang's corpse remonstrance and Shinshushi on the crown prince. You need not memorize all tonight. Chu's speech carries southern daring, direct remonstrance and metaphor. Wu Ju and Zinang speak in the brightest hour of royal power, a sentence from the shadow. If you think of praise versus truth, remember Wu Ju, truth does not always shout, sometimes it sighs. In Wu and Yu at the end of Spring and Autumn, the discourses record words of the Wu-Wei struggle. Fuchai, Gojin, Wu Zishu, family all speak. Gojin served Wu with humble words and patient deeds. The book records self-abasement before Fuchai and fury after return. Wu Zishu admonished Fuchai line by hard line. Fuchai would not listen. Read Wu Yu beside the late Zuo Tradition, same revenge story, but the discourses prefer endurance speech and warning speech. Gojin's words like rope slowly tightening, Wu Zishu's like hammer blows. Fuchai lost not only to blades but to refusing the hammer. Family boating away after success is later lore. The book may not tell all, yet around Gojin's destruction of Wu ministers still counsel. Winning is as hard to speak as losing. The discourses keep how losers and winners spoke, not only triumph fiction. Hearing Gojin, remember not only sleeping on brushwood words can kneel to dust while the heart stays iron, both in one person. In Wu Yu, Wu Zishu's words are hardest. He urged Fuchai to destroy you, Fuchai refused and sent a sword for suicide. The discourses record his last words echoing the Zuo tradition, nail by nail. Some counsel heard once as advice, 3 times warning, 10 times ignored becomes curse, not sorcery but reality walking his lines. When Fuchai fell to Gojin, the book does not plead his case, it lays out those early lines again. At night, if you think I told you so, remember a sword granted 2,000 years ago. Yu also records Grandee Zhong's counsel after destroying Wu, how to preserve you. High merit breeds suspicion, words must be skillful. Zheng was later killed, later story, but the council around victory already smells how hard winning is. Read beside Guanzhong and Zikan, worthy ministers in the discourses rarely die in bed, not because the book loves cruelty, but because truth spoken in power held too full carry their own risk. Another Zhou chapter, Shan Shangom on the Marquis of Chen, shooting without proper bow, riding without proper carriage, metaphor for Chen losing ritual. Zhou Yu often speaks through small things. Archery and carriage rites in disorder mean the world's names are in disorder. Zhou is not dense like Jean, it is like an elder, few words, each pointing to whether rules still stand. Read slowly ritual inside speech, Zhou inside ritual. Beyond Qiyu, Zheng Yu opens with Duke Quan and Duke Shuang of Zheng and Sherbo's speech on He and Tong. Later Zhang Zhuang, Jizhong, Zikan discourses and Zuo tradition echo. Small Zhang, dense speech, a state in the crack, mouth busier than blade. Each generation must answer how to speak to Jin, to Chu, and to its own nobles. Zikan's cauldron is not only thought debate, it is Zheng trying to write visible rules in a crack. The book's method is worth feeling with eyes closed. Unlike the Zuo tradition's scene-by-scene push, it often gathers speeches in one chapter like minutes or an interview transcript. One summary says, the Zuo excels at narrative, the discourses at recording speech. As story you may think why so much talking, then you hear how many boards were set by the last few lines. Recording speech is not laziness, it trusts that words are also history. Lu Shizai said the discourses have much fine text, few long passages, dense writing, less bulk narrative than the Zuo tradition. For bedtime that may fit, passage after passage like someone beside your pillow relaying 2,000-year dialogues. Idioms also come from here, stopping the people's mouths worse than stopping a river. Many mouths melt metal, many hearts build walls. Zhou Qiuming congratulating poverty. Lips and teeth depend on each other appears in the Zuo tradition too. In Zheng Yushi Bo's lips and teeth source echoes the Zuo Qiuming story. Familiarity will settle as you listen. With eyes closed you may ask, which lines were truly recorded, which polished by historians? Like all ancient books, perfect recovery is impossible. Yet honor the intent, someone believed important words deserved their own scroll. Today's news has full transcripts, the discourses are part of that ambition. Do not treat it as a tape recorder, treat it as the weight of words. Many listeners miss this. Women in the discourses do not drive great wars like Wen Zheng or Xia Ji in the Zuo tradition, yet they speak. Mu Zheng in Jinyu, in seclusion, judges a son's filial piety and lack of it, speech very hard. You need not judge by modern standards, feel how women then sometimes fought for position with words, sometimes protected heirs. The historians give them a few passages yet a whole judgment stands. Diplomacy in the discourses also runs on mouths. Jin borrowing roads, Zheng maneuvering, Zhou asking about the cauldrons, calculation in every line. Around armistice envoys come and go, wars may pause, mouths cannot. After fighting, who holds the moral high ground still depends on who spoke well and who was recorded fully. The book leaves this diplomatic language showing Spring and Autumn had not only formations but rhetoric. One more detail many miss, the discourses also preserve one line from small figures. Duke Xian asked Shiwei, Shiqi is young, if the Lord dies and the state riots, what do you choose? Shiwei said, die for the old Lord, serve the young Lord, keep order, I choose death. Short words, hard man. Historians reserve seats not only for generals but for those who dared fix their stance in a crisis. Before sleep, forget the name, remember attitude can be spoken to the end. In Jin, Fan Wenzi worried after victory. Jin Bi Qi, Fan said, our Lord is young, ministers unseasoned, many favorites. If he thinks triumph over Qi makes him look down on our state, that is what I fear. Victory yet worry sounds like dampening joy, later Jin did churn with inner trouble. Such cold water speech says words are not only to cheer but to pull the floating back to earth. After a good day you might ask, was there a line I should have heard? Lu Yu records the mother of Gongfu Wenba on the four classes echoing Guanzhong and Qiyu from another angle, women's virtue, scholar's work, still wrapped in ritual. Do not rank Lu against Qi, feel how one era's states speak with different shop signs. Lu's sign is ritual, Zheng's law and harmony, Jin's profit in fear, Chu's force and remonstrance. 8 states like 8 accents, together they are the sound of spring and autumn. If you are still awake, a small favor, if something tonight moved you, tap like and subscribe to Bedside Book Voice. No need to comment now, tea tomorrow, remember then. We continue. The discourses have limits, let us be honest. Materials overlap, read beside the Zuo tradition and records and details sometimes clash, modern scholarship must cross-check. Whether one Zuo Qiuming wrote all, whether chapters came together in one age, scholars still debate. Honor the speech recording, keep gentle distance. Separate legend from fact where you can, where you cannot, listen to the method, why ancients thought these lines deserved their own scroll. Some dialogues may be reconstructed from outcomes, whether Zhou Qiuming congratulating poverty is verbatim, hard to say. Reading an ancient book is like talking with an elder, trust experience, keep your judgment. Which came first, discourses or Zuo tradition, who copied whom, scholars differ. Do not write a paper tonight, feel you hold a text long polished by tradition, not a recording dropped one day from the sky. Modern archaeology and excavated manuscripts sometimes support the discourses, sometimes trouble them. Institutions, names not matching bamboo slips, scholars revise. As a bedtime listener you need not chase every headline, keep the calm that classics update in how we read them. Respect books, do not worship blindly, love words, do not treat them as live stream. That is a gentle distance for reading the discourses. If you ask whether tonight is enough, it is not. 8 states, 21 chapters, 30 minutes only opens a window. But once open you will know which door to enter. Words in Power, Zhou, Duke Xiao, Words in Law, Zikin and Xu Xiang's Letters, Words in Hegemony, Qi, Guanzhong, Words in Exile, Jin, Chong'er, Words in Remonstrance, Wu Zhu, Wu Zixu, Words in Endurance, Yu, Gojin. The name Zuo Qiuming links the Zuo tradition and the discourses. If you heard our episode on the Zuo tradition, recall it as live broadcast of ritual breaking down. The discourses are the soundtrack of the same scenes, what was said, how, and whether the board changed after. Read both and see history grow from 5 characters to 5,000, then 5,000 scenes distilled to a few hundred golden lines. Before, Confucius edited the Spring and Autumn Annals. After, warring states strategists stormed with speech. The discourses bridge from chronicle to recorded speech, from ritual collapse toward prophet, words growing sharper while someone still seriously saved a few real lines. A little more on how to read, lest you think this book is only quotations. Treat it as a theme library read by theme, not only by state. Remonstrance, Duke Xiao, Wu Zhu, Wu Zixu, Oaths and Promises, Chong'er to King Cheng of Chu, Law and Ritual, Zikin and Xu Xiang, Poverty and Disaster, Xu Xiang congratulating poverty. Ask, if this passage were cut, would that piece of history still stand? Often you find the discourses saved not a pretty line but the moment a choice was nailed by speech. If you have the Zuo tradition nearby, try one method, same event, narrative in the Zuo, dialogue in the discourses, stage and script together. Do 3 or 5 pairings and people come alive. Tonight the discourses alone are enough, paired later, they grow richer. The discourses are often read beside the stratagems of the warring states. Strategists speak prophet, ministers here speak ritual, law, people different tone, same training in changing the board with words. From discourses to stratagems, eras grow more shattered and speech more blade-like, yet before the blade, someone recorded speech as history, the discourses are that negative. The language also rewards listening with eyes closed. It does not leap like poetry or race like Zuo narrative, it settles paragraph by paragraph like someone speaking slowly in hall. Good recorded speech, like good bedtime voice, has breath and pause, each sentence carries weight. Zheng Xueqing said the Zuo excels at Zhuan, historians at Yu, the discourses are the U-line, letting words stand in time. One last note on the title Discourses of the States. Guo means arranged by state. You mean speeches, dialogues, counsel, not national language but each state's important words. The title itself teaches, do not chase years first, hear this state, this seat, this sentence. Zuo Qiuming or those historians used nearly 80,000 characters to leave Spring and Autumn a soundtrack. Later Sima Qian's biographies still love long dialogue, that habit has the discourses behind it. That closes the opening loop. King Li wanted mouths shut, Duke Xiao said damning is worse than channeling. Li would not listen, mouths exploded, and so did the realm. Words can raise a state or ruin it, save or kill. The whole book teaches the weight of speech. You know, you need not become a historian or memorize 8 states tonight. Remember, history lives not only in blades but on tongues. Reading the discourses is learning to hear ancients place the weight of the tongue, character by character. Second to last paragraph, lighten the voice. You know, you need not memorize the book or open it tomorrow. Remember a few lines, stopping the people's mouths worse than stopping a river, harmony creates, sameness cannot last, the terrace is beautiful but the people labor, my lord, consider, retreat 3 marches, and if I cannot hold that line I submit. Like pebbles in the pillow, turn at night and one still clicks. 1 click is enough. Sleep, the rest can wait for another day's reading. If you are still awake, leave a comment, which line stayed with you, Duke Xiao's river, or Zikin's I mean to save the age. Subscribe and tap the bell so you do not miss the next episode. Next we may read the stratagems of the warring states, how strategists in a more shattered age traded one mouthful of speech for a city or a pool. From the discourses recorded speech to warring states persuasion, decades in between sharpen words, but the root remains. Someone believed that saying it right could change the board. The discourses are vast and spring and autumn sound is vast, yet tonight a few images are enough. Duke Xiao kneeling before kingly, saying channel rather than damn. Xu Xiang congratulating poverty with a calm face. Zikin and Xu Xiang's letters before the cauldron. Wu Ju below the beautiful terrace wishing he had eyes that could not see. Chong'er at King Cheng's banquet promising retreat 3 marches. Go Jin bowing before Fu Chai while each sentence hides a blade. These images are signposts Chinese readers still turn back toward. Years later you may open the original and one you suddenly catches you. Duke Xiao's worse than stopping a river, or Zikin's to save the age. Classics often matter not because you finish once, but because years later, some night, one line says what you could not say by day. May you sleep with these images. If one line remains tomorrow morning, the book has left its mark on your pillow. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.